Like I said, my name is Gordon Olson. My call is AA7TQ, and I am from here from Twin Falls. I'd like to talk about CW, and I'd like to talk a little bit about my experience starting, and then I would like to talk about the CW Academy, which I'm a part of. And then I would like to show a YouTube video of one of my good friends that is up in Spokane, and he did a little talk about the CW Academy. So I'll start out, try not to bore you, but when I was in high school, I had a friend that told me that he was talking to Florida, and I said, man, your phone bill ought to be high. And he says, no, I talked on a radio. And I go, how do you talk on a radio? And he introduced me to ham radio, and I thought, wow, this is exciting. I want to do this. And so anyway, in high school, our electronics teacher happened to be a ham, and he got a federal grant. So we had a big tower and a beam at a small school. And so that was pretty neat to have that. And I learned Morse code on my own, which probably most of you did. And learned it the wrong way, I found out, because it took a long time to learn it. And through the CW Academy, they have a way of learning Morse code, which I think is very effective. And so anyway, as a kid, I was pretty shy. And it may not seem like it now because I became a school teacher and I was talking in front of kids, talking in front of parents. But in high school, I was pretty darn shy. So when Morse code came along and I found out I didn't have to talk to anyone, I could just do Morse code, I got excited about it. And I irritated my sisters because when I got a license and got on the air, it got into their amplifiers and they were banging on my door because they're in and their amplifiers, and they were ticked off. Gordon, turn that off. No, not going to do that. So I would say about 90% of the time, I'm on Morse code or I'm listening to Morse code. And that friend that introduced me to ham radio over 50 years ago, we are still communicating with each other. And I'm in Idaho and he's in California. And like tomorrow night, we're going to be talking on single sideband. We'll be talking again. So this has been a lifelong friendship. And so anyway, when I came here just a little over a year ago, and I was in Spokane, and my wife and I had retired from teaching, and we were in Spokane, and I was listening into the phone section, and I heard Morse code. I thought, well, why aren't these people in the Morse code section of the band? And next day I came and looked, and they were still there. So I broke in, they were helping each other, learning Morse code and going faster and faster. Well, there was a lady on there named Helen, and her call was KF7QNS. And she said, Gordon, I'm gonna go to the CW Academy. And I said, what's that? And so I'm gonna explain what that is, but she was telling me, and I said, gosh, I'd really like to go into that academy and that school and learn how to be a better CW op. And she says, yeah, I'll talk to the instructor. I'll bet I get you in. So anyway, that'll start my presentation. Okay, the CW Academy. That's what this is going to be about right now. Okay, all right. So the first thing I want to do is say what the CW Academy is. It was started by CW operators, and I'm not sure the date, around 2015. Some guys got together and said, we're going to help hams get better with their CW. People who want to learn CW, we're going to help them. And we're also going to help people who have been licensed for a long time but want to improve their CW skills. And so what they did is they organized this group. And one of the founders this K6RB. His name is Rob. He's in Santa Cruz, and he wrote most all of the curriculum for CW Ops. And I've talked to him a few times on the air. He is on the. There's several little contests that the CW Academy sponsors, and he's on almost all of them. There are over 80 volunteer advisors. I asked, why aren't they called teachers? And the reason is because with the CW Academy, if you join and take a class, which is free, by the way, there's no out-of-pocket expense, you can you end up learning on your own. There's a very neat curriculum that you follow, and in fact, you do your assignments before you do your meeting, when you meet with the class. So you've practiced and you know what you're doing, and then we come in and then we have you send letters and whatever the assignment was, and it's pretty evident if you've practiced that you'll be successful. In my ham radio career, I've helped people become hams, and I've had several people just kind of drift away, and they start out real excited, and then they go away. But with the CW Academy, you've got a class of maybe 4, 5, 6 students at the most. And when you have a group together and everybody is studying, and then you come to class, if you haven't done your assignment, it becomes obvious because you're kind of fumbling around. And I've got a letter I'm going to share with you in a minute from one of the operators in the last class that sent an email to all the advisors. And I thought that's very pertinent. There are 4 levels of training in the CW Academy, and it's almost all done on Zoom. Some are on Skype, and but I've only seen groups on Zoom. It's international. It's all over the world. But the 4 levels are the beginning level. Then there's, used to be called the basic level, but it's now called fundamental. And then there's the intermediate level. And then the last level is the advanced level. And if you go through the advanced level, and you have an opportunity, if you'd like, to be one of the members. And one of the members' qualifications that you need to have is to at least send and copy 25 words a minute and be recommended by 3 or 4 other members of CW Ops. So I did that. When Helen introduced me to the CW Academy, there was only the basic or the second class that was available at that time that she was going in. So I joined that. But I had been a ham since 1970. And we're talking about 2 or 3 years ago. So I already knew at least 13 words a minute. I probably had 20, actually. I had my extra. And I had passed it. So when I went into basic, it was pretty easy for me, called the fundamental class. It was pretty easy. But I really enjoyed being with the other hams in there. That was a lot of fun. In fact, that's one of the things I'd like to say is I'm teaching right now. I'm one of the advisors, and I've been doing it for the last 3 or 4 sessions or classes, I should say. Been doing that. There's another advisor. His name is Jeremy. He's down in San Diego. Kevin is NB70. He's by Kennewick in Oregon, and he is the main advisor. And but the classes are given 3 times a year. They're given, and it goes for 16 sessions or 2 months, and they're January and February, and it goes May to June, and then September and October. So there's gaps in between. So it's 3 times a year. So 8 weeks per semester. So that means there's 4 weeks in each month and 16 classes. Okay, so the advisor leads the class, and at the beginner level, they change from 20 words a minute to 25 words a minute, character speed. And there's a reason for that. You don't want to send characters slow because then people start to count the dits, count the das. And that's how I learned. And that's the wrong way. You say, well, why is that wrong? I learned it that way. Well, because if you're thinking A is dit da, you're going, okay, you're in dit da, okay, dit da. That's A. Well, then you write down A, they've already gone on to the next letter. So you're already behind. So what's emphasized is that you learn by sound. So, you hear the sound, da, you hear it, and then that's an A. So in the CW Ops, you're encouraged not to write things down. You're encouraged to listen and copy it in your head. And that is the best way, as far as I'm concerned, and that's what the organization recommends. Classes emphasize sending as well as receiving. You may be the best sender, but if you can't receive what the other person's saying, what good is your conversation? And one thing that you really need to be aware of, if you're sending really fast, because man, I'm a good sender, I can send fast. The other guy's going to match your speed and come back real fast. And you go, whoa, I can't copy that fast. Then you better not send that fast. So that's what you need to do. Letters more frequently in English language are introduced first, and the focus on instant character recognition. And what that means is there are tools online, and the faster you can recognize a letter in your head is it's an instant character recognition. And when you can recognize characters fast, then you can copy faster. If you're not doing instant character recognition, you're doing what I said earlier. Dit da. See, that's A. Well, that's not an instant recognition right there. You have to sit and think about it. So you're training to get faster and faster in recognizing letters. And then when you get really good, you can recognize words like the. It comes really fast. Oh yeah, that's the. Okay, here was the letter that was just sent on June 26th. And Kevin is the main advisor. Jeremy and I are both co-advisors. He says, I want to write to thank all three of you for your time and commitment as instructors for this course. You were all excellent to work with, and I am thankful people like you dedicate time back to keep things like Morse alive. And this is what I underlined, because this is why I had this email. I had attempted a few times to learn on my own, but always lost momentum once distracted by other things going on in life. But the pressure to check in each week with class was enough to keep my motivation to learn. And I'm very glad for it. I hope to cross paths with you all in the future, whether it be with CWA or on the air. And that really clicked with me. You are learning, there's a curriculum, you're following that curriculum, you've made a commitment, you're practicing, and when you get to class, you're ready to go. And you've got your peers, they're ready to go. And if you're not, you're going to look bad. Another thing I'd like to say is it is a commitment to learn Morse code. It really is. And what they recommend in the academy is that you practice at least 1 hour a day. Now, that may seem like a lot of time. Well, it is a lot of time. You can split it up if you want, half hour in the morning, half hour in the evening, but 1 hour a day is what's recommended in order to be successful in this class. If you have problems, the advisors will help you. We take you aside and work with you if you have a problem. But if you're not practicing, we'll know. Okay, beginner level. You don't have to know any Morse code. Maybe you learned the Morse code a while back, but you're pretty rusty. And your code speed's under 10 to 12 words per minute. You could have no code experience or you could have code experience. You would qualify for the beginner level. Now this Rob, K6RB, he has, like I said, he's written most of the curriculum. And here he talks about, you know, your course is broken up into 16 sessions. I talked about that. That's 2 months. And you meet twice weekly with your advisors. You're expected to practice the assignment for session 1, for example, before the online session. So you already know the information because you practice it. You're ready to go. There will be the tools mostly that I talked about is on Zoom. We have people from Tennessee, all over the United States, most like Tennessee and Washington and Texas in our class. Like I said, I've done 3 different sessions or groups of classes with Kevin. And that's on Zoom. And Kevin is a really sharp guy. He's got information on how to set up Zoom correctly. Because if there are some adjustments that really need to be made when you're on Zoom to get the benefit and make sure we can hear you, and also be able to hear your code oscillator. This is one of the online tools. It's the Morse code trainer, and it is online, and it says copying here. You'll hit play. You'll notice over here, it's circled. It says 25 words character speed. And over here is 4 for Farnsworth. And Farnsworth means the spacing between the letters or between the words. So if you've got a lot of Farnsworth, a lot of space, then you've got thinking time. If that Farnsworth is real close letters and you're hearing code letters all together without any spacing, you've got to know that code, that you have to have that instant character recognition, or else the letters will just go past you and you're going, now what was A? What was A? And 3 letters have gone by. So anyway, this is a great tool. And here is the curriculum. Like for this first class, it's got all these segments like learn the letter T, and you'd be practicing that on the Morse code trainer. And E, these are, you know, a T is just a da, and a E is just a dit. These are the simple ones. You get these letters down, then you can learn these simple words like T, T-E-E, and eat, because those are from these letters, and teen, and ran, or tan, I should say. And so when you're finished with the beginner level, you should know all the letters of the alphabet. You should know all the numbers, and you should know punctuation. Punctuation, that's just like the period. I know that we teach that in the beginner class, and the question mark, we teach that, and crow signs, and introduction to instant character recognition, which I've already talked about. CW operating procedure, and then also we teach the skills for a basic QSO. So all the parts that are needed to be successful in a QSO, and we start doing that at the end of the beginner class with each other on Zoom, and then we try it on the air too. The fundamental used to be called basic, but it's now called fundamental. You need to know all the characters and numbers, increase your head copy, and sending skills with instant character recognition, increase your skills for conversational QSOs, introduction to contesting skills. You have your 16 online sessions, and focus on making QSOs. That's for the fundamental. That's the next class after the beginner class. Intermediate level. Here's the 3rd level. Increase copy and send speeds with contesting tools, increase head copy skills, recognize words as sounds, increase on-air experience with various types of QSOs with Ruff's XP and Morse Runner. And the last class is the advanced class. And here you want to at least be able to head copy at 15 words a minute, and your on the air speed at 25 words a minute. Continual, you will practice 1 hour a day, many on air sessions with the instructor and classmates. And many of these advanced operators will become CW Ops members, like I did, because I was so excited about it. I've always been excited with Morse code, and I really enjoyed it. You know what I enjoyed the most was being with other classmates in these groups, and it's just a lot of fun. Okay, you don't, if you wanted to be an advisor, because hey, I'm good at Morse code and I'm real good at it, you don't have to be a CW Ops member to be an advisor. You could be an advisor in this organization if you wanted to, and teach other people. And you would be sharing your love of CW. And there's the CW Academy website. Okay, what I would like to do next is I would like to, when I was in Spokane, I joined the Spokane DX Club. I'm not a DXer, I'm a rag chewer. I love to rag chew. That's what I enjoy. Dale Avery and I became good friends. And I told him, you ought to join the CW Ops. He goes, yeah, I really want to increase my Morse code. I said, well, join it then. Okay, Gordon, okay. So he joined CW Ops, and Spokane DX Association asked him if he would do a presentation like we're doing. They do presentations for about every meeting on something that Ham is interested in. So here is his YouTube that he did.
This is my quick impressions of CW Academy. I'm going to go through this really quickly. If anyone has any questions and want to contact me by text or email, please feel free to use the letter.
No, can't hear.
First of all, the answer is
Turn up size of the gun.
in fact so much so that after actually 15 months,
Turn up here.
these members almost every day, 5 days a week, working with them to get better at CW and get more confident at it. And my advice to you is if you really want to be a good op, spend the time to go to either the CW Ops Academy or the Long Island CW Clubs classes. The big difference between the two is CW Ops is free. Long Island, I think, charges like $100 for the courses. What were my goals so quickly is I wanted to get my skills set up. I had 150 CW DXCC already worked by the time I did it, but I was really lousy at CW. And it was really to increase my CW DXCC totals. And of course, being a talkative ham, I wanted to meet new people and have fun. And my CW Academy, one reason only, because Gordon Olson, AA7TQ, a member of this club, he's moved down to Twin Falls and recommended it. And he is one of the best CW ops I've ever met for Rachel. He is smooth and silk. Now, one of the goals of CW Academy, they want to create more competent CW ops and get them on the air. And what that means to them is they want to get away from pencil and paper. They want you to do head copy, instant character recognition. So you hear a sound of a Z or a B or a 1, and you instantly recognize what was said. It also goes into, as you get deeper into the program, into instant word recognition, IWR. They want you to set clean spacing between words and sentences. They want you to set up your speed that you're sending to match whoever you're talking to. Farnsworth, this is kind of my feeling about Farnsworth for training. It sounds good when you start up, but it really inhibits you as you get better at CW. I would really try to stay away from Farnsworth as much as possible. CW Academy goals is 25 words a minute. They don't say that's sending and receiving. They don't say if it's DXing, contesting, or rank chewing. And all three have different skill sets, by the way. And again, they want you to make new friends and have fun. So guess what? I hit the right group. Your commitment is, in general, it's 2 1-hour hour-long sessions every week for an 8-week class period. If you get an instructor like I had, AC6 AC Buzz, he goes 4 weeks earlier, starts his classes unofficially 4 weeks earlier. So you end up 50% more training with a group. You really have to commit to 1 hour personal practice per day to do well at this class, for these classes. You need to have a code oscillator or radio capable of sending audible CW tone that can be picked up by your microphone in your computer. You need a computer and a headset for the Zoom classes. All of the classes are in Zoom. The reason they do that is they're international. They're all people who are in classes from around the world. And this is very important. You have to have a good iambic paddle. CW Ops really pushes either single or double paddle iambic paddles. And finally, this is something that I found to really be good at it. Create and or join a study group of your classmates. That is key. Get together with them as often as you can. The resources for CW Ops, I just threw some stuff in here because I knew Mel was going to be putting this on her site. So you can just sit down this pretty quickly. The first one is cwops.org. In there, you will find on their homepage the Academy website, and then the resources. And I really urge people who are interested in CW and getting better at it, just to take a look at what they offer you on a weekly basis on what your schedule would be like, what you have to study, and so on. And also here, there's some fundamental, intermediate, and advanced practice examples that would be really helpful if you got in and took a look at those. Additional resources, the Long Island CW Club has a practice page. It's just like if you go to the bottom of this page, you see CW Trainer. That is the CW Ops Academy equivalent. These pages allow you to set code speed, whether or not you want to use Farnsworth, if you want to look at letter groups, number groups, punctuation groups, mixes of all of those, word groups, and speeds. It's just these two will really let you know where maybe you should start. I started at the basic class, which you probably should be doing about 12, 14 words a minute. It's now called fundamental, by the way. And I think you would really, really enjoy it. Here's an example of the warm-up sheet. And every day before I get on CW, I try to go through this. This is just a partial segment of it. And you can find it under the CW Academy page there on their internet. When you start out in this, when I started off on this, it took me about 20 minutes to go through this page every day, just to warm up. Now where I'm at, it takes me about 2 or 3 minutes. And pangrams, has anybody here done pangrams? Pangrams are wonderful. Sending pangrams are one of the best ways to speed your code sending up. And they can help your code reception too if you use other tools. This is another CW Ops tool that's available on their webpage. I usually would send 6 or 8 of them into a program called AA7TQ, and I'll show you that in just a bit. If you're a CW or contaster, you can get into daily 1-hour contests using this little spreadsheet here. The K1USN are slow speed tests, 1-hour tests. MST stands for medium speed tests, and CWT will hang on your hats. They're running at about 35, 40, 45 words a minute, typically. They will slow down for you. For CWT, the exchange is your call sign, your name, and people change their names every week just to screw people up. It's kind of fun. And then you send your CW Ops number, or if you're an Academy member, you send CWA. If you're in the States, you send the abbreviation for your state. And if you're in a foreign country, you just send a 2-letter abbreviation for whatever that country is. So there's a lot of chances to practice CW every day. And this spreadsheet also will give you a Pacific Daylight Time, Pacific Standard Time there in the far right columns. That's it. I'm going to stop right there for now. I don't want to get too far into it. I said you have to have a good paddle. If you're going to be a high-speed CW operator, I would not recommend a bencher type paddle. You just cannot set it well enough to do well. I had a Venture BY2 for over 30 years, and I finally sold it and went to something like this. This is a March is a CW off, and he makes these what I think is a steampunk work of art. It's solid brass. It weighs over 3 pounds, and the feel of it and the finger pieces on this just they match my desire in a CW panel. One of the worst things about going into CW and high-speed CW or trying to be a high-speed CW operator is you become an addict. And you start buying a lot of CW panels. This is a Begali Expedition. Begali is considered the Ferraris of CW iambic paddles. They also make dual lever paddles, single lever paddles. I think they make a straight key. I think they make a bug, which is okay. Next to that, you'll see a little box that's made by Kanga in United Kingdom. It's an analog box that is a micro code practice oscillator. You can set the tone and the speed, the audio portion, the tone and the speed on this thing, and it will set using your paddles. You can it will send you code that you can use for practicing that. I really like this paddle, but again, I'm an addict, so you can see behind it on this picture there is N3CN9 Plus paddle. Both of these paddles I bought off of QRZ.com for about $100 less than what they cost new, and both of them were in pristine shape. The 9 Plus had never been adjusted properly. Poor guy who had it couldn't send a thing on it because it was so badly set. And now, except for the finger pieces, I think it's right on par with that Begali that I have here. Okay, so I said I'm an addict. I just bought this, haven't received it yet. This is another Begali, a magnetic probe. You'll see at the top, the way that you adjust it is different than the other one. Begali makes incredible paddles. You notice there's no tightening screws on those adjustment screws. The machining on them are so great. You adjust the adjustment screws. You don't have to worry about tightening them down any. They will stay in place. They work. I can't wait to get this one. And finally, yes, I do own a Vibroplex bug. This is a 1945 Champion. It's a really nice little bug. But in my shack, it's relegated to send tones at about 5 or 10 watts for my linear amplifier tuner. That's about all I use it for. For all the people listening here, if you want to be good at CW or be competent, I really recommend that you take one of these courses. I hope that you get into it and enjoy it. Real quickly, I think I have just a couple minutes here. Here's a couple panels to consider. The 3 models that I have are on the bottom. The UR4 CDX is made in Ukraine. It is a work of art. It probably costs on average $100 less than the Begali or the March. The Croatian 9α5 Nancy is a solid state paddle. It has really no moving parts. You can adjust it. But I think it uses capacitive touch, and I have one friend who sends out 25 words a minute, and it's smooth as silk. He really loves the thing. So there's a lot of options. There's a Russian that I don't have listed here. He makes them on his weights. The base is made out of rocks or minerals, and they're works of art. I mean, you can, if you could hold it and hang it on a wall, it would really look nice. It would probably pull the drywall off the wall. And that's what I've got now.
Okay, that's my good friend. Dale. So anyway, I could go on and on. I'm going to stop quite a bit. And yes, question. Anybody have any questions? Okay, the iambic rather than like it's because first of all, with the iambic here. It sends nice bits in a nice rhythm and the DAWs in a nice rhythm. Whereas the straight key, you're kind of up to the operator to make the DAWs and the bits, and sometimes people are not smooth, and it's hard to copy. So it forces it to be smooth. Plus, if you're using a straight key, you're kind of limited until you get to higher speeds at how fast you can move that. Now, I know I've seen people on YouTube with the straight key that go very, very fast, but most people can't do it. You get to the keyer, and you can send faster with it, and it's nice and smooth and evenly spaced. Any other questions? Yes.
What's your feeling on these?
I think you should take the CW readers and throw them away. I'm sorry, I really do, because you're going to use it as a crutch, and a lot of the readers can't. I have yet to see a reader that's real accurate. You're going to have people that are sending that don't send real clear code, and the reader can't copy it. But if you are learning from head copy, and you're consistent and you're on the air a lot, your speed will increase, and you'll be able to copy about anybody. So I know that sounds harsh, but I'm not in favor of CW readers. Well, in an emergency, yeah, and then you can probably, if they don't know it, and then they'd have to go on single sideband, or they'd have to go on emergency power and 2 meters. There's a lot of options. Or use your cell phone as long as the tower is not down. Any other questions?
Does anybody in here have any interest at all in learning CW? Okay, so there's 2.
Just one more thing. I have a lot of fun teaching the class, and Kevin and Jeremy and I, we pride ourselves and try to make it fun. And if we had more time, I'd send the next YouTube, but I'm not going to do that, where they said they enjoyed it, and we laugh. We have a lot of fun.
It is fun. You don't have to try.
But what I'm trying to say is, when I started with Kevin, I thought I'm going to learn everything I can from him. Then I'm going to start my own class. But I had such a good time with Kevin and Jeremy. We laughed and kidded around. I thought, I'm going to stay here. It's fun. So we've gone class after class and just had a ball. So if you got to have fun, I mean, this is a hobby to have fun, and it should be fun.